So today I want to take you on a walk I did 5 years ago with the great London writer Iain Sinclair. You see some magnificent videos on this channel that I've done with Iain over the years, and the visionary filmmaker Andrew Kötting. I'm a massive fan of both of them, and they've been a huge inspiration to me over the years. So this was a really big day for me doing this walk. It was the first walk that we did for the film I made of Iain's book London Overground. And in that book he walks around the Overground circuit, the London Overground circuit, in a single day with Andrew Kötting. So this walk starts down by the Thames at Rotherhithe and ends at Queens Road Peckham.
You see?
Is this the book?
I've got the book somewhere.
And you wrote all this by yourself?
Yeah.
Do you want to hold the bag?
No, it's all right. I can do that with bits that I can remember. And it's just what we've just done now. We turned left out of Rotherhithe, and after I photographed Kötting and noted the understated symmetry of the station and the windows in satisfying proportions, I remember what it felt like to look across the water from the other shore, on the North Shore, when I was still trying to write about the early narrow street developer who chained himself to the slimy wall and waited for the tide to swallow him. Rotherhithe was not a place to which he'd previously given much consideration. It looked foreign and somewhat estranged from itself. The significance of this apparently random assembly of buildings awed him. He became aware of patterns, meanings, distributions of unexplained energy. His sense of colour was overwhelmingly personal. It hurt his blood. Andrew Kötting could never get on with Downriver. At the time he was assembling his short Thames comedy Jaunt, friends told him he should try my book. He might be able to steal a few lines. He tried and he hated it. Kötting was a voracious reader. He carried books on trains and planes and boats. Sometimes he even opened them, a paragraph at a time, a sentence, a word, confabulation. That's why he loved Beckett, the white spaces. See? So it's all in there.
It's all in the book.
All in there.
I should try reading it.
Yes.
What's it like? Any good?
No. But the point is,
like
that this is the generator. This is it. You know,
okay.
This is why all that land we're going to walk across. Without this, it doesn't sing, does it?
It doesn't exist really until you've been here.
And our original connection was really water, in the sense that your voyage gallivant, although you're on the land, it's a kind of wonderful negotiation between land and sea, and you're always leaping off rocks into the sea in the suit, and opening up that fabulous connection between the generationary grandmother, who's a South Londoner.
She's a Kentian woman, really, a woman of Kent. She's a woman of Kent. Yeah.
And when you're first married and you're living with Eden as a baby, that's
Peeps Estate. We'll walk past that in a while. Maybe we'll go to the Cigale via the Cafe Gallery, which is also another morphic resonator for me. It's an important.
Have you ever been in your swimming?
Do you want to go in now?
Well, yeah, go ahead. Turn left out of Rotherhithe, that's right. I've photographed Andrew Kötting. Yep. The station windows, satisfying proportion. Moorish eyebrow curves that seem to reference both wavelets on the Thames and the best kind of railway arch, and then we double back to the river. So that's basically this one.
Done, and now we can head to Cafe Gallery.
My compass bearings are shot. The Thames floats us and lifts our lumbering feet. We navigate territory that's straining for some way to salute a maritime past with deep water docks, cargoes of the world, sailors, pubs. The promoters want a way to crane that picturesque version of the past into a CGI landscape of shopping centres, libraries unencumbered by books, and community arts. As a lad, Andrew came down here to deliver messages. Posing at Canada Water for his station photograph, he shoves his fingers into his ears.
That's where we're going next.
That's where we're going next. You used to come down here as a messenger?
Yeah, I was a runner for a shipping agent in Bishopsgate. And this
And
is the
did you
bills
know
of
this-
ladings, and you'd have to come down here and
Yeah?
sometimes get signatures and drop off. This is way before the internet. This is when they didn't even have pneumatic tubes that would connect North and South London. So they'd send, there was 16 I think, 15.
It was your first...
2 years of it, yeah.
Oh,
Every
2 years?
every Christmas holiday and summer holiday. I'd have
So this was a romantic landscape.
well, I had no idea. It was like a no man's zone. It was a Tarkovskian zone.
The first time I went through Rotherhithe Tunnel was the best because I went down. I didn't know how long it
Was
would
that
take.
on a horse and cart?
Not quite. And
Right.
I got confused. I came up one of the ventilation shafts and I was still on this side of the river.
So you were lost again then?
I was lost that time. It was mist. I thought I was on that side of the river. I couldn't recognise anything.
Right.
I was wandering around in the mist and I see the Church of the Deaf, which is down there.
Yeah.
We're going to go down here.
This
I like
parade
this.
shop. No.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So then
That's where the market, the Scandinavian market.
then
used to
everything
be in
seemed to be in some foreign language. It was all.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd
there.
actually.
It was Swedish,
Sorry.
Finnish, Danish.
I thought I'd died and ended up in some strange kind of Swedish hinterland.
Schwartborg. It's a Viking longboat. Yeah. Because if we do have to wait, he's going to get bloody livid. Yeah, one take or nothing.
All this
Tommy Steele, I remember, when I
bollocks
first
about
moved to Birmingham.
Yes, Tommy.
Tommy Steele, he's a diamond, he is.
There was a building burnt down here, wasn't there? We saw. Oh no, I read the plaque. Was that Peak Freens or was it one?
Yeah, the Peak Freens
Peak
biscuit
Freen.
factory was actually back there. It's very close to the other side of the park.
I remember something about that.
Where they used to have lots of the free shows, you know, the early Goldsmith students.
That's you.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's you, sir. Norway dock, Greenland
No, I
dock.
didn't do that either.
No?
I didn't do that one either. That's two that I didn't do.
Yes, you did. We cross a bridge to enter the shopping zone. That's up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kötting is upbeat about the development. He's come here in former times to buy sports kit, budget trainers. The whole deal
the
is
Decathlon over
cheerfully
there.
budget. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Slave
it.
labour, all child labour.
South London vernacular.
Yeah.
Easy insecurity.
Easy insecurity. Easy boy insecurity.
Why did you put your fingers in your ears at this point?
Noise.
Just the
Was it-
noise.
was it the
The
noise?
noise of all the.
Yeah, it's the noise
Or
of
was
the
it
memory.
my
The
voice banging away in your
No,
head?
it's noise of memory. I mean, you didn't help. It was the noise of memory.
The
You
noise
know,
of memory.
the noise of memory can become slightly overwhelming sometimes. So here, yeah, back at Canada Water. So this is,
So by the time you were here, you were living in Pepys Estate.
yeah, we then moved from Lee Green.
And was this already?
No, this was
Yeah,
all, this was
no.
all wasteland. This is all wasteland with the odd warehouse. Yeah. So you want one? We need one of the entrance. There's the Caffeine Sports Specials.
Yeah.
Improving the quality of life.
Got that one.
Undermining the potential of sport.
So what's the landscape around you when you're living in Pepys?
It's
Low
dishevelled, low level
flats?
locks. There's lots of locks all around.
Yeah.
And there are lots of corrugated iron corridors where you could run to prevent you from breaking out the corridors and getting into the areas. You'd have an old, might be a lock keeper's hut, funny kind of 24/7 surveillance before cameras. So you'd have West Africans mainly patrolling, you know, at night. It was it was a wasteland, and then quite high-powered spotlights.
What was the railway?
The railway?
situation for getting out to other places? You never used it.
No, it was on foot.
Everything was on foot.
Yeah, everything was on foot at the time. In fact, they
Because
used
the
to have-
ginger line just steps in on top
Yeah.
of something that's there already.
Well, Surrey Docks was still operational then. That used to be the East London line. So
Yeah.
you could go Surrey Docks down to New Cross, and then they kind of revamped that when they did the Overground. So there was a connection, but when you came out at Surrey Docks, it was like going into the zone.
The zone. Yeah.
Yeah, it was zonal. It's very zonal. Could you help pull me trousers up?
Rotherhithe is a tumour.
Tumour.
A tumour, a non-malignant nodule, a hump cut off by the red strip of the railway, infiltrated by docks, given over to retail parks and leisure boats.
Can you help pull my trousers
No, I
up?
can't.
Oh, please.
No. You don't need it. You don't need it. Is life long enough to complete this film?
Oh, hold there!
Who's that?
Yeah, sorry about this. Yeah. You don't work anymore, so you can't even use that. You can't even use that as an excuse.
Neither are we.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Ian.
Hello, hi.
Disguise.
Yeah, I'm disguised. That's myself.
You've got the bear next to you. No, you've got the bear.
I'm disguised as myself.
We're hugging friends
Yeah, we're hugging now. We're doing. Well, now that you don't work.
Oh, you're a
John.
hugging friend.
He's a perambulator.
All right, well, you can wait outside, can't
Yes.
you?
Let me see. In the book, what it says.
Is there something like this?
About this gallery, it always says something about everything, really, doesn't it?
Better be a good bit.
Oh, mate, I don't know.
He's reading it, he's thinking, oh, I'm going to get to a good bit soon, surely.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I do quite like these.
Andrew, could you just tell me what the gallery is again?
It's called the Cafe Gallery, and we're in Southwark Park, and it was set up by the Bermondsey Artists Group, and this is where the site of the old Lido, when we first moved to Deptford, Bermondsey, the Lido was actually operational, and then it ended up being just a little shed, which is the old changing rooms, and then they got Ron Hennock, who you met at the beginning, was kind of vital in growing it into the thing that it's become, and eventually they acquired the Dilston Grove, which was a Clare Mission church, one of the oldest poured concrete churches in the whole of London, which is what Mr. Sinclair taught me. I mean, I didn't know that until I met him. I mean, I wasn't even that interested until I met him. But, so that's Dilston Grove, and Ian and I have had a couple of exhibitions over there, so it's now Cafe Gallery manages Dilston Grove and this venue as well. But they're both, we'll wander past Dilston Grove afterwards, or cut across the park. So yeah, I kind of grew up, and I'm a patron here, Ian's a patron here, and Eden, my daughter, had her first ever group show. Every year she puts stuff into the Bermondsey Arts Group show, the summer show, which is coming up, and yeah, she loves coming here, and her and Ron are very tight. And we had a big exhibition here called Mapping Perception. It's the first kind of big installation I did, and we blacked out the whole space, blocked in that entrance. And we were running on the loop, that image, I think you've seen it, of Dr. Torp's anatomy lesson with Eden laid out. So that, this place has always been very, very important to me.
If we hadn't been stalking the Overground, we would have sampled Southwark Park. The park is the best kind of green blot. It enhances the experience of passing through, drifting, slowing down, taking a clean, resonant breath before the next slam of diesel. Blah, blah, blah. Swans dress a small lake. There's a cafe with few pretensions and 2 art galleries. One of them, Dilston Grove, is a former chapel where Kötting has been given space to present performances, to consider projects, pinhole portraits, doctored magazines and maps, vitrines of scavenged feathers, tide-smoothed bricks and defaced books. The unfussy tranquility of Southwark Park is a park that does not waste energy on bigging itself up and keeps the surrounding terrain in balance. Andrew recalls patting the hot saddle of his motorbike and sitting at an outside table to wait for friends. He does not howl, he grins.
It's true.
Because we'd been talking about him going off into the forest to howl like a wolf.
Yeah, I do like that.
So this is...
So that's Cafe Gallery. I'm glad we made. And there is where that was the Finnish Seamen's Church, just through there, opposite the pub. And that's the Prince of Orange used to be all the jazz. The Danish Scandinavian tourists would pull up and listen to some trad jazz that used to really piss me off. But I loved the beer in there. But they've demolished that as well now.
Ron thought the whole thing was made up, so it's impossible to do that in a day.
Yes, yeah, a lot of people think we
made it up.
made it up.
I haven't got the imagination to make it up.
Well, see,
Everything is real.
wouldn't have believed me if I'd said I was this. China Hall, that's where all the geezers used to go out to wheel and deal a little bit of precious metal. You go in there. I'm amazed it's survived. It has one of the few pubs that survived. I think the council were just too frightened to ever charge them any rent, or so they could just get away with murder, quite literally, in the China Hall.
And you were scavenging in your transit around these suburbs?
Yeah, in down where we were looking earlier on, in and around.
Were you looking for something in particular?
Yeah, it was always Bakelite, fuse boxes. You could get lots of money for Bakelite, and sometimes you get Bakelite stair. You get the brass and Bakelite hooks at the end, and then copper. You used to still get bits of old copper lying about.
And did you knock
Copper
on people's
and brass.
doors, or were you kind of
Oh, no,
stripping it off
all
railways?
abandoned properties. I never broke in. Always abandoned with maybe some perimeter fences and guards, but you'd sneak around the back and get in and then grab what you needed.
You asset stripped dereliction.
Yeah, maybe that's what he's doing on the roof now.
And then you ran to the yard
Down to the yard
of one
in
of the
Greenwich, down in Greenwich.
South London faces.
Yeah. And we'd sell it down there. Well, occasionally you go for just heavy metal, so you just look for anything, old bits of railing that might still be attached. You'd lift them up, get in the back of the van, because they would weigh the van as you went in, look in the back, and then weigh it as you went out, and the difference is what you were paid for.
Where
That's what weighing stations come from, you know, the things you drive onto, like
Yeah.
the plates.
do you get the stuff that you were selling on the stall in Camden?
That was just jumble sales.
That's Layla.
Jumble sales with Layla, because she was into the jumble sales, and then that's pre-boot sales, and all charity shops. In fact, one of the great ironies is that we used to drive down to St Leonard's to the charity shops, because there was it was rich, a rich
So
scene.
did I.
Did you go down? Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting books.
Oh yeah, yeah. You'd be down there in the.
I was first around all the bookshops,
Yeah.
because there were 11, and then passing by, I would nip in a few charity shops. Less so, because there's not much in there.
Yeah. You'd have to go to. Was it the Book Jungle? Was
Book Jungle,
it? Book Jungle.
Bookman's Halt.
Yeah. We're going to come across there.
A lot of nice stuff down there. At Surrey Quays, no true quayside, but a significant branching point on the Overground, Kötting is coming closer to his beloved Deptford. He can smell it. He can smell bacon in the pan, gastric residues bubble and fizz, intestinal anticipation leaks in warm detonations of sage and honey filtered through wet tweed, actually felt. He shakes his thorn-proof trousers to disperse gaseous damage. Time for breakfast. The station is post-architectural, a glass-fronted bus shelter with an upgrade. Rotherhithe was a proper station, a considered brick construction, a railway mosque respecting the dignity of travel. Surrey Quays is all function, a borehole for the retail island of Canada Water.
That's it.
It's all in the book.
That's the retail islands over there.
But this is a retail island, and then the Southwark Park is like a lovely
Oasis.
memory green oasis.
Yeah, it's very much. It's a memory oasis. Yeah.
And it's good that you've been able to have shows there, because it kind of earths all that activity of the
Yeah.
past.
It roots it all.
And your scavenging and rooting about has now become art.
Yeah. Well, that's, some people call it art. Some people think
Well, it
it's
has
just
a price on
nuisance,
it.
a nuisance. Well, yeah, it does now. It does now. So we're going to head down there to the Cigale.
And you've scavenged for people as well, because you kind of gather a crew around you of these folk who are prepared to go along with it.
Yeah. But where are they now?
Where are they now?
Yeah. Where are they today?
I don't know where they are.
Nobody turned up. We just left
Well,
with
it's,
him.
it's John.
Yeah. Got a new recruit.
John. But no, John is
Yeah. Apparently he's doing all right.
he's a logger of the city.
He's a city logger. He's still analog. He's an
peripatetic.
analog log.
He's a
Yeah,
peripatetic.
analog logger.
And he functions in the cyber world successfully,
Yeah.
which I can't do.
Yeah. We
Well,
offer raise.
you dabble a bit.
Yeah.
A bit.
Yeah.
I don't go there.
Coming in. Let's go and have some lunch.
He writes books as well.
That's right.
You know where you are when you know where to eat. Kötting has our breakfast lined up in an old haunt called La Cigale in Lower Road, Surrey Quays, which is a very good choice in a street of interest, undisturbed by the Canada Water Mole or urgent traffic, heading to Evelyn Street with memories of the 18th century diarist, and the pull is towards Greenwich and the east. How would this overheated signor like to take his panini? With gherkin, mayo, brown sauce, both mustards, French English, horseradish, onions, the lot. Mr. K mops his dripping brow with a bookie's spotted handkerchief. That was here.
I said home for me was just down here, just beyond the McDonald's on the left-hand side. 100 yards is Rainsborough Avenue. It's a block of flats. We'll see them in a minute when we go over the bridge. And that's where I had 20 years on the Pepys estate, as in the diarist. Right. Are you? But yeah, 20 years ago, this would be quite a frightening walk. Not so much for the Millwall fans, but if some of the away fans have got lost en route, because they'd arrive at Surrey Dock Station and they'd try and find their way to the Den, and then they were really running the gauntlet. Because people would come out of all these, tower blocks and just start chucking abuse out, and word would spread. It was like a virus, and then they'd set little traps at the other end of the footbridge, so you'd never get beyond there.
What kind of traps?
Man traps. Come on, you! That kind of stuff. You've heard those noises before, haven't you?
I may have done.
Yeah. And so that's Deptford recycling, and just behind that, in the shadow of that, is where the new Den is. So I think the deal was that they were going to move the new Den to the shadow there when they got the permissions to. Yeah, it's just they burn the waste in there, and there was this idea that the whole of South East London was being polluted from there. But eventually, when they tested the air, it was kind of cleaner than East London for sure. Even though maybe
Greenpeace protested. They climbed the tower.
They did climb the tower, didn't they?
Yeah.
They just imagined or assumed
coal-fired and all the eco horrors you could imagine were there.
Yeah.
But actually, the local ecology looks like it's thriving.
Yeah, it's perfectly happy. Look at
They
it.
mutate. They survive, don't they?
Yeah.
And so do the humans.
Two-headed buddleias. They'll grow anywhere. That's part of the Pepys estate. That's the landmark building. We were the low-rise maisonettes. But when you walk past there, you're 500 yards from where we used to live.
How many bedrooms did you have?
Three
bedrooms.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we had a study, and had a room, and then later on I shared it.
So it's pretty good.
It's good, yeah. Hard to let. Nobody wanted them when we moved in.
No.
Yeah, it's a good place to be.
And you got the right to buy.
Thatcher opened up.
So you opened
up the doors for us. Yeah.
Then you bought it.
Bought it. It was less to buy it than it was to rent it at the time. And it was £120 a month, the rent, whereas our with the mortgage it was £80 a month. So it was it was a no-brainer really.
In this tunnel you get the smell. The actual smell of place is here. It's a bit railway, bit waste lot, bit
urinal.
Bit urinal, because I suppose they're coming away from the football ground.
Bit of Budleia.
They've been drinking all through the match, and you can see the mould on the wall where they've pissed. It's just at the highest you can go.
Yes. And this is the back of the new Den. This is the south stand.
So you spent many a happy hour?
No, I didn't. No, because by the time they built this, I came down here. I've been down here about a dozen times since they opened it. Yeah. And the noise, the noise that you used to get in the old Den, it's too big, it's too cavernous. You don't get that sense of sonic intimidation.
I like these spaces, as I said. We investigated a few of those spaces along the way. You showed the tattoos in one of these. I didn't get that your tattoos were a narrative. A kind of a skinned history.
Does that feature in the book?
It does feature in the book. Yeah. Not here. This is when we... Yeah, no, in London Overground. When we were past Shepherd's Bush, and we went onto the Westway.
That's when I
and you were doing something to your feet, and I saw these tattoos, and you said that it was Maori, and it had a kind of a...
It's a Maori sock.
Literally a narrative, like I think there's a Ray Bradbury story, isn't there? The Illuminated Man.
Yeah, but mine is Eden's first figurative drawing, which looks like an angel.
Can you show it?
Yeah.
Sit.
Should we do it up the top, or do you want it now?
Let's do it now.
To pick up later.
I'm always into things when...
Can you see that? Can you see that Maori sock?
It
spills on down there.
It's like cave art.
Yeah, it's like cave art. And some of them were acquired from when I used to live in Scandinavia. So you got that
they're runic.
That's Eden's first ever figurative drawing, which I photocopied and reduced. And this is Layla, myself and Eden. And then some of the stuff around here is, well, I used to get bored in French lessons. Did some of these. These are from Newell and Lombrive caves. That's from Scandinavia, the cave just up the road from when I lived in, where is it? Haparanda, up near Haparanda.
You'll have to arrange
And
to
then they
have
go down
these preserved when you're gone.
Yeah, that's an old shovel with Layla, myself and Eden. I dug them up, and then various other nonsensicals. But they all mean something, and then it all went a bit mad, didn't it? The world of tattooing. So I stopped doing my diary.
It's quite discreet now.
Yeah, with my boots on.
Except when you're tipping out the boots.
Yes.
Somebody
Tribals.
did leave my father his foot.
Did he?
Yeah, no, there was this guy who was a conscientious objector, and he was bright. You know, I think he was a teacher or something locally, and he got convinced that the secret state was trying to kill him and were going to push him under a train because he opposed the war. And he did fall off a platform, and his leg was damaged in some way, and he believed he had stuff implanted into his foot that were going to control him. So father, being a doctor, he sat and listened to all this stuff regularly, and then the guy died, and Anna and I were there, we're having a meal, family meal. There's a knock on the door, and this kind of policemen and people are at the door with this black box. And he said, "You've been left this." He said, "What is it?" He said, "Well, have a look." We open up the box at the dinner table, it's a foot. Yeah, I don't want that. So I'm sorry, you've got to have it. It's a legal obligation. You signed this bit of paper, that's yours. You can do with what you like with it after that.
But you hadn't signed it, it's your dad had signed it, hasn't he?
So Dad had to sign it.
Right.
So oh, I'll sign it. So there we go.
So you've inherited a foot?
Yes, I inherited a foot. I looked at it. So I said, "Well, are you going to check to see if it's got any radios buried in it?" He said,
The guy was mad.
"Done it." But I thought it was a moving story in a way. You know, like he held on to this belief all his time, and then he produces the evidence.
Well, I'm surprised that your dad didn't dissect it to maybe look for
Yes, yeah,
something.
I would have.
How old would you
Well,
have
we
been?
were carving a chicken or something. You could have just...
It wouldn't have been a lot of bother to have started work on the foot.
Should we walk up through onto the top here?
Yeah.
It's one of the sacred hills of London. It's like Silbury Hill, yeah?
Well, that's the cityscape on the Isle of Dogs.
Yeah.
Those red brick buildings. There's one with the funny roof. See the crane to the right, come down the apex of the...
Yeah, I can see them.
No, that's Bent's house, that one.
Ah, brilliant.
So we were
So
the
you're bang
third
across
window.
from
Yeah,
Docklands.
we saw that, just go...
Amazing.
Yeah, right
Amazing.
opposite. Yeah.
And it was so funny to be this side of the river, real low rent, and
Yeah.
that side of the river, all the big money,
Yeah.
Citibank and stuff is going up.
But it also took ages for people really, I mean, there's not a lot of well, there weren't at the beginning apartments in the big city
No.
banks, but now that's all changed. And, you know, it's like being in downtown New York. The old den, see this hill, the old den was just down there, and where that kind of bit of warehousing is where the other hill similar to this, you could then look down into the old den and watch the football.
But of course,
Yeah.
really it's come across the river anyway, because it starts on the other side. It migrates.
Yeah, from the old docks.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If we walk away down that road there, it's quite cinematic, isn't it?
Yes. You want us to leave framing?
Especially if a train could come along at the right moment. So there's a hut here for the old grey whistle test or something. What was it? Some kind of programme that used to be on. Not the old, it's the wheel tappers and somebody's club used to.
Oh yeah.
It's just here.
That was done here.
This is where I saw a giraffe walking along the street. A person inside a giraffe. Was that when we were?
I don't
Was
think
that
it was
on
a
my own? I think it was when I was on my own. It was like a kind of straw bear thing, and she was having a violent argument with this guy in a black t-shirt with a can next to her. Yeah, this is a significant crossing, isn't it?
Yeah, we're coming down to the Old Kent Road
This is
now.
where we come, the Old Kent Road.
The railway
But as we came here,
Yeah.
you looked down that way
towards the Old Kent Road.
and said that's where you used to turn on your bike when you come back home.
And it's also where was Thomas à Becket, where I used to work out in the gym, in the boxing gym there. That's something else that I remember.
Should we cross?
Okay. let's cross
And probably
there.
from the other side we can look back down.
Yeah. So down there. Yeah.
Old Kent Road. I think that Thomas à Becket is it gone or is
No,
it's
it's still very
going?
much there,
It
but
was pointed down the road there. It says it's the Old Kent Road. See where that bus is. That's where I turn on my motorbike going back down to Hastings. So this was a marker. And then just beyond it on the left-hand side is the Thomas à Becket, which is where you worked at.
yeah, used to-
Henry Cooper, George Wicks,
yeah,
all that.
Jack Sharp.
But
was
it's
my
also
school
where
friend.
James Fox was brought when he was doing performance.
To the
They
Thomas
took
à
him
Becket.
down there to try and give him, a bit of the notion of a South London hard man. So he was made to box in there. You probably boxed with him.
And that's it's where Alan Minter used to spar with my friend Jack Sharp, but he was a bit too hard. Jack died in the Chelsea Hotel in London. I mean in New York, 26 years ago.
The way that people do join the Chelsea Hotel.
Yeah, but no, he was gunshot to his temple. They don't know whether it was suicide or murder. Never worked it out. Sad story. Yeah, but that was my connection with the Thomas à Becket because he was from a boxing family, and that was where I used to go in 78, 79, I guess that would have been. Used to go there quite a lot. And you'd rub shoulders, and I do remember Alan Minter sparring with him, and Alan Minter getting a little bit upset that Jack was hitting him too hard. And I was very proud of him. And I think I mentioned him in the in one of Ian's books, that he edited. It's London City of Disappearances. So he's in there. That's kind of an ode or an essay to Jack Sharp. Right, moving on.
This is my thesis about London being a Celtic city. It's a Welsh city. And so now we've found the symbol of the apple, black apple of Gower, and this black space there is the entrance to Gotol Cave, Pavilion Cave, which we're going to explore in a couple of weeks. Secret messages of the city, the coded city. Good sound.
No, I was looking at these.
Well, that's the kind of sound you would sample.
Yeah.
Well, this just looking back down here is very much the microclimate, isn't it? Because these arches round Haggerston, Hoxton, Shoreditch are all plasma screens, expensive fish, artisan bakers. Down here they're kind of art studio spaces, storage.
Well, I noticed that one down there is obviously dry cleaners, so industrial, and then it looked like they were smoking rice or something.
But you haven't been squeezed by developers into Aquascutum and Pringle and designer
like
handbags,
your
and
lot.
all our lot
Yeah.
are being kind of converted into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny though, even 5 years, this was mainly just scrap. You know, the only people that were remotely interested in being underneath the arches were these scrap dealers. You know, on occasion you get the body sprayers, you know, car body parts. But yeah, that whole climate
It's
has
weird
changed
that-
drastically.
So we're back,
Yeah.
Queens Road Peckham. The Overground station at Queens Road Peckham is rewarded with yet another Kötting portrait. He has the energy to point, stout Cortez with his eagle eye, none too silent on a peak in Peckham, still managing to alarm a non-travelling vagrant as he tried to make off with a pile of free newspapers. It says something about this station that they were still there mid-morning, as they are indeed now as we came through. Peckham improper, the definitive street of small shops, rank meat, trade, movement, goods, deals, arrives so suddenly, is so charged with bounce and collision, leftover civic structures signifying some dissipated claim to being a centre, that we miss it entirely. We move through in hot debate of our own, without pausing to record Peckham Rise Station, thereby undoing the immaculate procession of our circular walk and disqualifying the premise of the image vine. I charged back a day or two later to commit a selfie. By then Kötting was in absence. He was a loud ghost, sprayed somewhere in the nether reaches of the Old Kent Road.